Bible tells us that we are fight a war against Satan in a spiritual warfare. How are you guys doing? Well, today, like I said in my last video, I wanted to talk about the armor of God and what it represents. So I want to get into that today. Armor of God represents the defense we must take in our spiritual life, because as I mentioned, we go through a spiritual warfare. So what do we need as the armor of God? What is that? Well, the first piece of the armor is the belt of truth. So the belt of truth is God's words. So it is important in our everyday life to know the truth, God's words, so we can rebuke somebody and we can know from what is then right and wrong and speak it out, because God's words has, of course, its power. So that's number one. And then we have number two is the breastplate of righteousness, and that is to protect. So that's to protect our hearts and protect ourselves from the enemy. Because if we don't, we let ourselves open for the enemy to attack, and which can lead to more sin. And the righteousness is what God gave us. And we have feet of gospel of peace, that is for standing firm and sharing the good news with someone else. We have the shield of faith, that is to protect us from flaming arrows of the evil, and of course our faith in God. Then we have the helmet of salvation, that is to avoid like sinful thoughts. So when we have this helmet of salvation, that can keep our heads focused and knowing what is good and true. And then we have sword of the Spirit. That is, of course, the words of God. It served as offensive weapons against our enemy. So like I said, as like with the rebuking, it's not like I said, it's a spiritual warfare. We're not fighting in the flesh, we're fighting spiritually. And that's why God's word is, of course, powerful. Because I'm still learning all these things, I don't want to just talk only. I want to read from the Bible. And it explains here more. This Ephesians 6, 10, 18. So I'm going to read that for y'all. Let's get started. Put on the armor of God. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. And your I already read that one. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherefore which you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of Spirit, which is the words of God, praying always with all prayers and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. I'm trying to read as good as possible as I can read it for y'all. But of course, like I always say, it's always good to read the Bible for yourselves and, you know, study God's words for yourself. And always, of course, praying. And this is a real thing that's going on. That's why I always say, you know, trying to pray more. Not trying, just do it, I will say. And because this is a real thing that's going on, a spiritual warfare. That's why I just want to learn, because me, myself, I want to learn to have the whole armor of God on, to protect myself from all evil and wickedness around me. Because because when you're learning this more, you can see certain things. When certain people wants to attack you, just suddenly like that, draining you, all these things. It's like you can be aware of, and you're feeling drained hanging around certain person, or seeing certain things, hearing certain things. But I'm gonna make a whole other video about that, and giving a list of what we can look out for with whether it's a devil spirit or a demon spirit. Because like I said, this is a real thing that's going on, because the more we let all these demon and evil and devil spirits get to us, we are letting more doors open for them. That's why I do believe that, you know, putting the whole armor of God is needed. But yeah, I think that's enough for today. I'm gonna end this video here, and thank you guys for watching, and pray and read the Bible.